Happy to have Devon White with us on the line from Dunedin, Florida. Of course, a 7-time Gold Glover, 3-time World Series champion, and I think one of the underrated members of those 92-93 Jays, because we always talked about, of course, the Carter home run, the Alomar homer against Eckersley in the championship series in 92. But not as many people talk about the role of Devon White, unless you're talking about that triple play that never happened. And it sort of gets a bit overlooked. So welcome, Devon, to the Hebsy on Sports podcast. Thanks for joining us. What's your role with the Buffalo Bisons organization this year?
Thanks, guys. I'm the first base coach. I work with the outfielders and base running and, bunting and stuff like that to get them ready for Toronto.
So you're working with them. So, as your expertise as an outfielder and a base runner, you're able to apply that and become one of the regular coaches on the Bisons. Would you be the type of guy that would approach a player, or are the players encouraged to come to you if they have any questions?
I think a little of both, but I've always encouraged them to come to me because, like you just said, I have a world of experience in the outfield and base running. And, if they have any question, I keep the door open that they can ask me. No question is a wrong or bad question. So, we talk about situation, but, if I see something extremely wrong, then I definitely go to them. But most of the time they come to me, and then we have a game plan of how we get ready, before each game. So, it's been pretty good.
So I'm going to say that I think one of the weaker issues with the Blue Jays is their outfield. They've got some talented outfielders, but maybe not, with the exception of Randall Grichuk, maybe not polished in the outfield. That's at the major league level. How do we look at Buffalo this year as far as outfield goes?
Well, most of those guys are in the big leagues now, but we have a couple of guys coming, which is Forrest Wall and Josh. Those are the two guys definitely I know might be in the AAA lineup. I don't know what's going on in the big leagues to say who else I will have there, but at this time, I would say we're short on outfield in AAA as far as where they're going, and it all depends on how the ball bounces in the big league, to see who gets sent down, or whatever else might happen. But I can't really say we have a outfield roster at this time.
Yeah, we were thinking the same thing last year when you've got guys like Cavan Biggio and even to an extent Bo Bichette, and this year even Vladdy Guerrero taking fly balls in the outfield. It suggests to me that you can change positions at the major league level nowadays, whereas before, when you came up, if you were an outfielder, you were an outfielder, unless there were some serious injuries and you got pressed into service as an infielder. Nowadays, it seems to me that the players coming up are much more well-rounded, and if you came up as an infielder, they can turn you into an outfielder or vice versa.
Well, like you said earlier, there's, throughout baseball, there is not that gold glove type outfield as much anymore because these guys, they didn't play the outfield, all of their career, and they've been converted to become an outfielder. So there's lacking things that they should do, the way the bases they throw to the bases. So that's been the takeaway from not being an everyday outfielder. If we talk about someone like Lourdes Gurriel, he's always been a shortstop, but he has played outfield before. And I got an opportunity to work with him a little bit. And, he's getting there, but, he's still behind most everyday, a left fielder, but not by much. He's so very talented. He's going to, catch up very quick. And, do we want to go through the growing pains or don't we? Or, do we need offense or do we do defense? So it's whatever the organization might need at that time. That's, how they place them.
Devon, let me ask you this. If you were in your first year with the Edmonton Trappers in AAA when you were drafted and came up through California, and if they said to you that first year in Edmonton, Devon, we don't think you're ready to play in the major leagues, but we're going to have to send you up there because we don't have any other choice, and you had to learn to play outfield at the major league level, do you think you would have developed as well?
Well, it's funny because I was a shortstop. and through the
really?
minor league system. And after my second year, they put me in the outfield because we had so many good infielders at the time. But to answer your question, just like any other young player, is just like, oh yeah, I go to the big leagues and play wherever you want me to play. so that's pretty much the case. But I wouldn't turn that down. But I would definitely learn as much as I can. And back in my days, of course, you didn't have these many coaches to help. It's basically is learn during game. So, but at this time now, we have, coaches, infield coach, outfield coaches, and of course, analytics has played a big role on where to position yourself. So it's, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a little bit easier by knowing the players that you haven't seen, but you have analytics on them. So you know where to play them. So that's a good part about, analytics right now too.
I was just thinking that you came up as a shortstop. Whoever it was that suggested you played the outfield should get a gold medal or at least a couple of your gold gloves because I can't imagine Devon White playing shortstop.
Yeah, well, as you can see, I have good hands, but throwing the ball, that front row over there in first base, watch out.
Let's put things in a perspective here. Suppose in 1992, 1991, 92, 93, suppose you found out that one of the teams that you were playing all the time that kept beating you, you found out afterwards that they were cheating, that they were getting the signs. And this, of course, is the number one topic of conversation, and I know how much you love baseball and how much baseball is a part of you. How do you feel as a former player and now a coach that a team could get away with this, and this could be a bigger scandal than anything else that baseball has ever gone through in over a century? You're there right now. You're part of it. People talk about it every day. What's your personal feeling about this?
Well, there was the Black Sox incident back, in those days, but and that's gambling on baseball. And of course, we all know about the Peace Road situation. But I would just pretty much say what most of the guys that can play the game and said, hey, you lose respect for those players. You could bring back the steroid situation. You say, all these years, you think these guys were that much better or elite, more of an elite player than you were, and then you find these things out, and then you pat yourself on the shoulder and said, I did it the right way. I didn't cheat, I didn't use steroids or anything like that. So you lose a lot of respect for players or like that. I think right now, in my opinion, if something like that would happen to me, you come out and you get it behind you. You just said, hey, I messed up, I cheat. And then you move it on. I think players will respect that a little bit more. But if the way it keeps going on and more things are coming up, it's unfortunate. But you just don't respect players that have done those things to either ruin someone else's career or make themselves look better.
But now you've got an entire team that is guilty by association, whether they actively participated or whether they turned a blind eye to what was going on. It's the entire team. And I think people, players and fans alike, want to see some kind of closure. In other words, they either want to see that 2017 World Series title taken away from the Astros, or that all the players who are on that team are punished in some way, shape, or form. Do you think that can be done?
I don't. I try not to get into the politics part of it, but as far as taking away the trophy, I would agree. I would agree with that and say no one won the World Series in 2019 or that year
2017.
17. I would go that route, and but from what I heard about, they gave the players immunity, so they gave the players immunity. You got to move on with that. But as far as the plaque is concerned, or the piece of metal that's been corrected, I just throw that one in there. But that needs to be in my opinion taken away from them for the 2017 season.
Yeah, that was something that was well earned. I mean, you earned 2 of them in Toronto and 1 in Florida with the Marlins. And the 2 years that the Blue Jays won, you could buy the actual sized World Series trophy. You bought 4 of them, actually. You bought 2 replica size and you bought 2 actual sized ones. And these are part of a collection that you've got that I'm told by our mutual friend Chris that it's kind of taken up space in your closets, that your kids really don't want them or don't appreciate them. And now you're going to sell this. So my first question was, boy, I'd like a crack at some of Devon White stuff. I mean, I'm a collector myself. I got a 1959 Stan Musial game used bat that I cherish. But I see some of the stuff that you have available. And so tell me now, I mean, most people are going to say, oh, geez, he must need the money. Well, I mean, I guess everyone can use the money. But if this stuff of yours, and I call it stuff, is sitting in a closet somewhere, wouldn't it be better if somebody who could really love it and appreciate it would have an opportunity to buy it?
I love the way you put it, but exactly though. But it's not only in a closet; it was in my attic. And it's been transferred from place to place. The Blue Jays had it for a while, and it was in their storage closet. Then a buddy of mine in Toronto had it, and it was in his living room, and it was gray. But like you said, I want the people that don't have the opportunity to see a World Series trophy, and by me, and it's not a lot of them that was sold or bought by ex-teammates of mine. And as far as my kids are concerned, it's like they feel like me. It's like, we know you want it, Dad. So then they let me know too. Hey, we know you want it. Okay, no.
Right. It doesn't mean they want to have it in their living room or sitting on their mantle or anything like that.
Exactly. So I have 3 grandsons now. So hey, I want to put that stuff away for them for their college. And like you said, everyone will always need the money, and that can be put away for their college education. And of course, a portion of that too at the auction is going to go to the Canadian cancer research. So it's going to good use. And as far as I've seen people in the past sell their rings, and I haven't sold my ring yet. I think I can hold on to those a little bit, but my Marlins ring is out there. Mm-hmm. But as far as my Blue Jay back-to-back, those are something that I'll treasure and let them decide at a later date what they want to do. Of course, one of them can't even fit my finger anymore. It's so fast. So, hey, you never know.
Devon, it's Toronto Mike here. Did you keep the glove that made the catch? I heard Hebsy call it a non-triple play. In my books, it was a triple play.
Oh, mine
my
too.
Friend. Did you keep the glove?
Or is the glove up for auction?
That's kind of, I actually, that and the World Series trophy, the big ones, those are the 2 I treasure at the auction. I treasure the most. I've used 2 gloves my whole career, the 17 years I played in the Major League.
Wow.
A gamer and a backup. And the backup is sometime a gamer. So if you get a chance to see them or even bid on them, people out there bid on them, those are a glove that I can say I wouldn't allow anybody to put their hands in my glove. It's just my glove, my weapon, and I don't want you to mess it up. So whoever get this, hey, do the same. Don't let everybody put their hand in your glove because it's different size hands and you don't really want to stretch it out. And, like Big Dave Winfield was on the team. I remember once he's like, let me see a glove. I'm like, no, Dave. So, that's one of the things I treasure. And like I said, I treat it during the winter. I keep a ball in it and make sure it stays, lubricated because of, the leather dry out on you. So, those are the things that I really treasure, those 2 Gold Glove I have.
Right. And so that's available for auction. So if someone wanted to bid on something from the Devon White collection, where would they go? When's the auction and how would they buy it?
Well, the auction is taking place right now, and I think it's 3 days left. And, unfortunately, but it goes through a heritage auction.
Okay.
And I think I'm not too familiar with the signing up part, but you have to sign up the bid, of course. And, and of course, there's a reserve on each one of these items. So No one, if you've ever been to an auction before, you never know what it'll tell you need the reserve, but you never know who's going to bid on these things. I've been through car auctions and stuff like that before, and I'm just like, okay, when is the price going to stop? But it's demand. If someone wants it really bad enough, they're gonna pay what they want for it.
Right, so that's Heritage Auctions. So I think it's HA.com, Heritage Auctions. You can go there now. And I mean, there's all kinds of stuff available. And the Devon White collection. Now, Devon, it doesn't just have stuff, like, doesn't have just like World Series trophies and your gloves and some autographed bats. But don't you have some stuff there by other Major League players? Like I saw something from Andre Dawson.
Yeah, there's some stuff, like I said. I don't want to turn them into firewood or anything. Not that I would burn them. Not Andre Dawson. I hope you don't hear this. But there's some stuff there that I have from former players that have given me or I've had for years, and and I just put it in there because I think it's something a person a collector would love to have these things. Like Andre Dawson is a Hall of Famer, so there's things in there. I did have I think I still have that. I have a basketball, an NBA basketball, and I have, of course, my countryman Patrick Ewing on it. I had Will Chamberlain on it, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, and this I got a. I've been moving back and forth Arizona and Florida, so I got to locate that ball if my son didn't get rid of it.
Well, I sure hope not. If with all those autographs on it, that could be worth a lot of something. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now when you played, you played against Tony Fernandez when you were playing in the outfield for California in the late 80s. You were a teammate of his for a short time with the Jays when you won the World Series. And, I know that when he was sick for a while, and if I'm not mistaken, Devon, did we not, Tony, I think, was at the Roberto Alomar golf tournament last year or a couple of years ago when you were there. So you've seen him in the last while, and he passed away now last week at the age of 57. What's your fondest recollection of Tony Fernandez?
Well, I did see him for Winterfest when I was there.
Right.
So that's the last time I saw him, and just playing against him. I hated playing against him and hitting the ball to him because it was like you're automatically out. That's one. And, my thing is, I said it earlier this spring when I did an interview regarding that issue, is when the ball is in the hole, you don't want him to, drop down and throw you out, because to me, and I was very competitive and with my speed. So I'm like, no, you can't throw me out like that. And there's been times that it's bang, bang at first and I was safe, but I really respect the way he played the game, and, he did what he did, very, unusual and unique. And, fondest memory with that's concerned is just his defense, his ball anywhere, in the 6 hole, we call it, between, third and shortstop or up the middle. You really got to get out of the box because you can't take it for granted. He will get there and throw you out.
I want to point out a few things. Devon White played 17 years in the major leagues, nearly 2,000 games, nearly 2,000 hits, 1,934 hits, 208 home runs, 346 stolen bases. Here's a guy that had power, speed, 7 gold gloves. He started as a shortstop. Devon, who was the one who told you to play outfield? Who was the one who suggested that you play the outfield?
Actually, coming up is we had Dick Schofield at shortstop, and he was a number 1 draft pick, and I was the second pick behind him. And he wasn't going to play the outfield, and they just actually put me out there. The Angel organization that's like, hey, you ever played the outfield before? And I say no, but I just want to play every day. And they say, let's put you out there. So I was back and forth. I was in the infield, go to the outfield, and this was doing instructional. Instructional was a little bit different than it is now. It's like you went down to instructional to learn to play that position, or to polish your craft.
Mm-hmm.
So I was supposed to be playing shortstop, and I did it a little bit. They put me at second base a little bit, and I still had a good arm. So I would throw the ball away. When I say throw the ball away, I would just fire it at second base, and it was just too close for, I didn't have any feel. So they put me in the outfield, and it became very comfortable for me. I can fire the ball as far and hard as I want to. So, they just kept me out there after A ball. And, rookie ball, they played me a little third base, everything like that. Because, in high school, that's where I played, infield. That's where everybody kind of hit the ball. Right. So, basically, I played there in the most of my career till I was about 18, 19, and they shipped me to the outfield, and I didn't have a problem with it. And, years later, Gold Glove. So, like I said, you just never know until you try, the position or, what they're asking you to.
Well, my two favorite players growing up were Willie Mays and then Gary Maddox. And Willie Mays, when he played center field, they said that's where triples go to die, because Willie Mays could catch anything. And with Gary Maddox, they said 2/3 of the earth is covered by water. The other third is covered by Gary Maddox. So I would put Devon White in the same category. I want to thank you for joining us today. 7-time Gold Glove winner, 3-time World Series champion, Devon White, the base running and outfield coach, one of the coaches for the Buffalo Bisons this year. And great to have you still in the Blue Jays organization. And thank you so much for talking with us today.
Not a problem. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
And good luck with the auction. I hope you make millions off it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Devon.
All right.